Hey guys, it's Abby here. We got sent this microscope to do a review on, so let's unbox it together and see what we have. First thing I pull out here is the instruction manual, and it is nice because it's colored. All the pictures are very easy to understand, and it does a good job, I like in the front, showing everything that's included. So I really like that. And the other thing that comes with it here that was really cool from other microscopes that I've seen is a cleaning cloth. That was really cool to wipe down your microscope screen. These are the gooseneck lights to the base of the microscope. They were very long and tall. I thought that was cool. So here we have a remote control to the microscope. It's very slender. As you can see here, it's very slender, and you can see that you don't have to put any like AAA batteries in right away. And there's some writing on it, so let's zoom it in and see what that writing says. Okay, so on the top we have the menu is a double click OK, and then to power it off, we have to press OK for a long press. So press the OK button to power off. And we'll keep unboxing here. I do pull out the microscope itself, which is a 7-inch microscope display screen. I don't unpackage it yet, like actually out of this packaging slip here, just because I wanted to protect it until I was actually ready to use it. So we will look at it a little bit later better, but as of right now you can see that they packaged it up nicely, so nothing really gets scratched. And then I have this USB cord. I ended up finding that they had 2 of them in this box. So I'm looking at it, and it's a pretty simple cord. We'll see that this goes into the microscope. And I saw that it came with 2 of these cables. So I was interested in that. We'll see that one of these cables can be used as a charger, fully just to be plugged in to an outlet or something to charge the microscope, and the other can be used on the microscope to power on the lights. So that's why we have 2 cables for that. We'll zoom back out here and see what else we have in the unboxing process. So this here, I didn't take it out right away, and I don't know why, but we'll take it out later and I'll show you. But this is just a power box, or like a power charging box. So we will put that into the wall or an outlet and connect it with one of the USB cables that I just showed to charge this microscope, which was something that I found interesting about this microscope, was that this microscope is something that you have to charge beforehand. Okay. And so when I found this piece, I said, what is this? This is interesting. So I didn't know right away what that was. And that's where that manual came in handy, because I looked it up and the pictures are very clear in here. I think it's on like one of the first pages or so where it just has the packing list there. And so we'll zoom it in a little bit and make it clear and focused. It's called a light barrier. It's number 7 on the list, a light barrier. So later I'll show you how to install that into the actual microscope lens, and it's to help the light not get too washed out or anything when we use the actual microscope. So that was an interesting piece. I haven't seen other microscopes come with that when doing reviews or anything. So this next piece that we're taking out, it's like the boom arm stand to the microscope, so that will be connected to the base later on. You can see here this moves up and down just as of right now, and it kind of drops because I don't have it tightened yet. So I'm just showing you these here. We have a couple screws, some knobs, and some twist locks and stuff. So this is how we will adjust our microscope to the base, going up and down. And we'll see, is there anything else in the styrofoam in the box where they packaged everything for us? I don't think so. The only thing left we have is just the base to the microscope with the gooseneck lights on it. Again, I just thought these gooseneck lights were very tall, very long, and they had, I think that's cool in a way, just to give you more angles, to angle the gooseneck lights the way you want them if you're working with something under the microscope. So that was very different. And let's see, now here I am, I'll be taking out the actual microscope now, the 7-inch microscope, and we can look at that. And it does come with a screen protector on it. I didn't take that screen protector off until I was actually ready to start using it. And that's what it says on there if we look at it closely or anything. But it does just say to leave that on there until you're ready. With this microscope, the camera lens, or the microscope lens, was already facing downwards. That was pretty cool. And when I turned it to the back, that's where I noticed we had a SD card in there. So my SD card was already in my microscope, and I decided to take it out to show y'all. But then I actually had a little bit of trouble just getting it back in. So it took a little bit of lining up to fit it back in perfectly. I had to kind of lay my microscope facing down a little bit in my hands, just to line up the actual, as you can see, I lay it down a little bit in my hands, and I have to kind of wiggle that SD card in to find that right spot, and then I got it to go down. But even then I struggled a little bit to click it in place just because I don't really have nails. So if you see that your SD card's in there, just go ahead and leave it in unless you really need to take it out, because it's just a little difficult to get back in there. But it goes back in, so don't worry about it. So I'm making room here for us to go ahead and get that boom arm stand in, and I'm moving those gooseneck lights just off to the side so we'll be able to see. There's this black ring towards the bottom of the boom arm stand in the instructions it says to twist it a couple times, but we're going to line it up with the base of the microscope stand to the metal box at the base of it, and we'll twist that lock ring, the black lock ring, a couple times until that feels a bit firm. And then once we get that, we can twist the actual rod, the metal rod, tightened in place, and we'll do that until we can get it all the way tight. Once I got mine all the way tight, as you can see, again, I said these gooseneck lights are long, so they get in the way, but it's pretty cool, so I just move them out the way. As you can see, I'm twisting the metal rod in place all the way as tight as I can get it to go. And so when I get it as tight as I can go, we'll see that it's not actually over the base. So I'm going to twist it back a little bit to loosen it just slightly, where it's still tight, but now it's hovering directly over the base where we would put an object, a main board, anything, a slide that we're observing. So once we have it over the base, go ahead and use that bottom lock ring, the black one at the bottom of the base there, to tighten it into place. That way it doesn't wiggle around when you're using the microscope. Next thing we're going to work on is putting that light barrier into the microscope, right where the lens is. So I've taken off that white cap at the bottom of the lens. You can just twist it off here. And I'm going to show you on this light barrier, there's 2 tabs on either side, and you'll see in your microscope there's 2 openings for 2 tabs, and you'll see as my light barrier fits in, and then I'll be able to twist it. I twist it and you'll be able to see, I'll show you, you'll see the silver tabs, and then when I twist it, it goes away. So I'll show you at this angle. Here's that silver tab. When I twist, it's gone, and then now gone. So when you see the silver tab, you'd be able to pull it out. When the tab's gone, that would lock this light barrier into place. And now it's almost the same thing here. We see 2 tabs again for this white cap on the microscope. So we're almost going to do that same thing of trying to line it up a bit and then twisting into place, and you almost hear a click, or you'll feel like a lock and a click almost, and let you know that it's in place. I did have a little bit of trouble just with this light barrier falling out from time to time after I've put it in, and it sat up straight in the microscope. From time to time it would fall out, but once I teach you how to put the microscope in and out, you can fix this. So here's how we're going to put it in. There's these 2 screws, and you'll see that these screws have blue rubber caps on the end. and that's going to be to protect the microscope just from when you're screwing it in to tighten it here. If you want, go ahead and unscrew those screws all the way out of this ring that's going to hold the microscope. You'll see here I twisted them as far, as I think that the microscope would be able to fit in, and I still had to twist out even more. So that's why I'm saying go ahead and just take them all the way out, because it will be easier for you to do it that way than just keep twisting as I'm doing here to try to let it get down. But then you'll twist them back into place. So I'm going to show you from another angle where we're looking to get this microscope into place. I'll show you that the ridges on the microscope, that is going to be your focus. That's where you're going to use it to focus in and out. But above the ridges on the microscope, there is a smooth, flat part, and that's the part that we want to sit down in that ring. Because when we tighten it, those screws back in on it, we won't be tightening the focus lens, or that focus ridge that goes back and forth on the microscope to focus on the object that we're studying. All right, so that tightens the microscope. These two knobs on either side, they actually move the microscope down and up away from the object on the base. To have that tightened into place is this back knob, right? So we can see here that I'm lowering them, but it's not dropping too quickly, and I can leave it in that position if I wanted to, right? And to have that in place, then I can just tighten that back knob on the very back there that I'm touching. And if you were to loosen it, it would again just drop and out of place. So I think we learned enough about all those knobs. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and learn more about these cables. We were given 2 sets of USB cables. When you look into the instructions, it can tell you that one of the USBs can go into that bottom of the base, and the other one will go into the top of the microscope. So watch as I plug this one in, you'll see that I don't have anything happening yet. And at this point, I was a little confused as to why. And that's when I realized that this microscope is one that can be charged. And so it really would not be needing to be plugged into a wall unit, an electric outlet, all the time. So here's where I then realized, okay, I'll need to charge it first. And that's where we will use this wall block outlet, the wall charger, block charger. So I use this other USB cable, and I plug the big part into the wall charger or the outlet block, and I'll use the small end, excuse me, and I'm going to plug that into the microscope. Here I wanted to make sure that we could see the difference with the 2 cables. With the one that I have a charging block on, I have the large end of the USB into the cable block and the small end into the microscope. With the other USB, I have the large end into the microscope and the small end into the base of the microscope here. So at this point, I have not gotten the microscope to power on. It needs to be charged first, or I need to have the power block put into an outlet for us to be able to have a look at the microscope. Alright, we have the microscope turned on. We do see that there is a light down at the corner, and when I read in the instruction book, it had said that when charging, the light at the bottom will be red, but it will then turn off. At this point, I think that light is just showing me that it's powered on, because I do have it plugged in with the power on. But the book also says you can press the power button real quick, and it will show you in the right corner what the battery life is, and I don't see a battery life, I just see a charging symbol. So I'll let it charge for 2 or 3 hours. I'm going to power it off, and that's when I did see a red light charging. So I came back 2 to 3 hours later once I got a full charge, and let's look at how well this microscope does when viewing an object, and I'll show you the different modes that this microscope has. Okay, now remember we did charge it, so we actually don't need the microscope to be plugged into an actual outlet, which I find cool because that means we could take this microscope somewhere with us that we're trying to travel to, somewhere on the go, somewhere out in the field, right? That maybe doesn't have an outlet because it was charged already, which is cool, right? Cool. So you see that it's charged, and the way we have it lit up at this moment is the large end of this USB is in the top. All right, did you see what happened when I unplugged it? If you didn't, I will show you again and I will explain. The only light we have right now is the light coming from the actual microscope lens itself. And when I unplug that, I don't have any lights in my gooseneck lights, right? So we could see here that, cool, it's powered, but I'm only going to get the light from my microscope if I was just to take this out with me in a field. So it looks like at least you do need one of the USB cables, not the charging block or anything, if your microscope is charged beforehand. But if you want to use those gooseneck lights, which is recommended to be able to view properly or better quality, you do need one of these cables. So when I plug that cable in, you see that the gooseneck light does turn on. And here, if you're wondering, how do we control the lighting? Well, look at this base, and we'll see that there is a, I called it a roller, right? A rolling knob, a control knob for our light. It will control the dimness and the brightness on the gooseneck lights as we roll that knob. So, very cool. I like the simplicity of the remote control, that the brightness and the dimness can just be controlled by that roller on the back. So here is a main board, an ET8550 main board that I've been looking at and working on. I'm showing you here's the F1 fuse, right? Let's put that under the microscope and find it. I'm trying to adjust my gooseneck lights, and I'm lowering the actual microscope to the board and move it around to get some better light. Now you'll see that I'm out of focus here in my actual picture on the screen with my microscope. So at that point, remember those ridges on the barrel of the scope, we can twist that both ways to find focus on our picture. All right. Then we'll move around the lights. Here's another picture, right? B15, we have F1, F2. We can read letters and numbers from the boards for any chips, any components that we might need to replace or look up and try to identify. All right, we're back with the remote, so we're getting the simplicity. If we want to turn it off, we need to just press and hold the OK. A long press is to press and hold OK. Interesting thing I found about this microscope was you can turn the microscope off by pressing the remote control, but you cannot turn on the microscope with that remote control. You need to press the power button, press and hold that power button on the actual microscope screen itself. At the bottom of the display screen on itself is how you turn it on. So just a cool tidbit from this microscope and reviewing it. So here we have an L1800 main board, just looking at a different type of board under it, and right now this is the front of the board, or the top of the board. If we were looking at that, looking at different connections, different cable connections and FFC connections. Now, if I'm flipping it over, I'm going to look for my F1. That's a typical repair that I would do on this type of board here at BCH Technologies. So I'm zooming in and I'm focusing on my F1. And here I'm going to press mode, right? And it takes me to no files. And that would be showing me if I took a picture on my SD card. I haven't taken any pictures yet, so it takes me back to picture mode. If I press and hold mode again, it's going to take me to a video mode. Now, if I press and hold it again, it takes me to my files, which, like I said, I hadn't taken any pictures yet or videos, so my files are empty. Right, we're back here in picture mode. If I press OK on the picture mode, I just took a picture. So that will show up in my files now. I wanted to show you the different modes, so I'm going to flip it back over, and now you can see I'm at the top of my board. Let me focus it because I want it to be a pretty picture. All right, so now let's go through the modes again. If I press it lightly, just like a real quick press, it's going to take me to the different options, right? So if I press and hold it, now we see that I'm in like a picture mode. I can take a picture. If I press it and I hold it, now we have, this is my files. So my files was empty, but now you can see this is the picture of the F1 fuse I took. I removed my board from under there, but my picture's there. It's the file. If I press and hold it, right, now we're going to be back in a picture mode. If I press and hold it again, now we're in video mode. If I want to take a video of this, I'm going to go ahead and press OK, because you can see we're not frozen in this. I'm going to press OK, so we're in video mode. I can see the red dot blinking, and I can see the numbers counting up. That's how I know I'm in a video mode, and it's actually recording at this moment. If I want to stop the video, I'll do the same thing as I did to start it. I'll press OK, and it's going to stop the video. I see the red blinking light's not there anymore. My numbers aren't counting up. To view that, let's press mode again, and you'll see here I went into a mode and I see the numbers. So now I'm at a file. I'm not looking at a picture. I'm looking at a video because I can see the numbers. Now I'm going back into the different options by pressing the mode or the menu softly. Just a quick press is what I mean. And with that, you can use the arrows on either side of OK button on your display screen, and that's how you can pick options, right? So I'm picking, like, I want to delete this file. Do I want to delete all the files or the current file? I'd like to delete the current file, so I'm going to press, yes, it's correct, OK, and it deleted the file for me. If I go back out, I'll see that there's my F1 picture again in my files, right? All right, take me out of that. Great, so we're just back on the board in a mode to take a picture. Okay, so I feel like I explained pretty well on how to use all of those modes. It's a quick press, takes you through the options. A long press takes you to a different mode. You can also hook up the microscope with a USB to a PC computer and view images. If you want to reset the microscope, use a ballpoint pen or something and push and hold the reset button for a few seconds. Hope you enjoyed this video. You can visit us at bchtechnologies.com or locally here in Greensboro, North Carolina. Happy printing, everyone.